Ken showed me that snapshot taken in Paris with those showgirls.
Don't you worry. I took that picture myself.
Well, believe you me, when Tom and I go to Europe, I'm going to make sure he takes me there. But seriously, though, Mary, you and Ken must have had a wonderful trip.
Lou, I can't tell you how exciting it was. And remember what a hard time I had talking Ken into it at all?
Oh, yes.
One day it was off, the next it was on.
Oh, I certainly do.
Yes, I admit I wasn't very hot about it in the beginning. 7 countries, 28 days, all the arrangements, foreign languages. I was worn out just thinking about it. Why, if...
No fishing trip with the boys.
You're right.
Tom, this year I was bound and determined we were going to do something together.
Oh, movies tonight.
Oh, Ken, you dog. And with a captive audience. And listen, I don't want to hear you say, pardon me for a moment if I have to suffer through it, you do too.
Oh, okay, I'll suffer.
Oh, look at his expression. Don't look so hurt. We're dying to see your movies. Why, what do you think we came over here for tonight? I wouldn't have missed them for the world. Hurry up, hurry up.
Okay, I'm hurrying.
Say, I didn't know you were a camera bug, Ken.
Oh, I'm really not. Just before the trip, I bought a simple movie camera with a built-in meter. Aimed it, pushed the button. Lou, will you get the lights, please?
My, that's a pretty picture.
Oh, quiet, Louise.
At daybreak, approaching England, our captain invited us by 2s and 3s into the pilot's compartment to view the sunrise and the feather bed of clouds below us. We were at 23,000 feet. Many of our group didn't appreciate this early morning invitation, but it certainly was worth the effort. I asked the pilot to slow down so I could get a good shot of the propellers, and he did.
How could he do that? Oh, you're kidding.
Our first port of call was London. Here, officials of the English auto clubs and the AAA introduced us to our tour escorts who guided us through the entire trip. Our buses took us immediately to the Grosvenor House, one of the better hotels in London. Sunday, we took a tour of London. This is St. James Palace. Piccadilly Circus, a Christopher Wren church, the famous Charing Cross station, Charles Dickens' old curiosity shop, and were our women curious as well as furious because Charlie's shop was closed, it being Sunday. This shot of London Bridge is slightly tipsy
English
because...
stout, no doubt.
No doubt. Nelson's monument at Trafalgar Square. Hampton Court, with its beautiful gardens and fountains.
What is Hampton Court? Another palace?
Well, in the olden days, this is where the kings and queens entertained royalty. But today, it's a park and museum. Thousands of English people come every Sunday to relive their history and enjoy the gardens. After 3 days in London, we flew via Sabina, landing at the Brussels National Airport. It's a very modern and up-to-date terminal. Here we heard our first foreign tongue, which is of course no barrier to folks on an AAA tour, because the escorts are multilinguists. By this time, we had become quite accustomed to moving around without a thought of our personal luggage. The tour escorts also took care of this. The famous Guild Square in the center of Brussels. Each building represents a specific trade, and the front of each building is trimmed with 14-karat gold leaf.
Oh, that's a beautiful shot.
In the middle of the square, we saw this flower market. The vendor presented Mary with a little bouquet of violets. Down the street, we saw our first outdoor cafe. And remember, in Europe, cafe means restaurant.
Where are we now?
Oh, this is the lake in the center of the French Gardens. The lake serves as a catch basin for the rainwater from the upper streets of the residential area. They funnel it through filters and pipes to that pile of rocks in the center, and it makes a fountain effect.
Well, where's the fountain?
Oh, that only founts when it rains. Notice the lines of the building in the background? And these lines aren't bad either.
Oh, Ken.
Kids are kids the world over, and so is AAA. Our escort explained that if we were touring Europe by car, we would be entitled to the same emergency service anywhere on the continent as we are at home. This was a service vehicle of the Auto Club of Belgium. Speaking of fountains...
Oh, the Mannequin Prince.
You know, on a couple of festive days each year, the Mannequin Prince dispenses beer in the same manner as you see here, through the courtesy of the local brewery. And the citizens queue up with their beer mugs to receive their portions.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Oh, this is the view of Brussels from our room at the Metropole Hotel, looking down the Place de la Monnaie.
Oh?
Our party was picked up in front of the Metropole by Europa buses. See the trailers? That's where our luggage is carried. And the same drivers and buses stayed with us for the following 12 days. Our next country was Holland. The first stop was at Breda for leg stretching and a drink of their famous hot chocolate.
Oh, isn't this Rotterdam? Yes. This was on the way to The Hague.
Here's the Peace Palace at The Hague.
Didn't Andrew Mellon build this?
No, he put up the first $1 million to start it, and member nations contributed additional money, materials, and art treasures to complete it.
Oh.
Aren't those windows breathtaking?
And the chandeliers were just gorgeous.
The beach at Scheveningen, or however you say it, the smart seaside resort of Holland. The North Sea on one side of the street, hotels and cafes on the other. Notice the windbreaks.
Yes.
The tour included a 2-hour boat trip through the canals of Amsterdam. See him changing the flag? That's done as a courtesy to their foreign visitors. The canals alternate with streets in this part of the city. Look at the cars parked on the streets in front of those narrow houses.
Are these just summer houseboats?
No, people live on them all year. If you don't like your neighbor, you just move to another canal. It's like United States trailer living. Water traffic is very heavy. Everything uses the canals, even ducks. The canals are flushed clean by tidal water every 48 hours through a series of locks, such as this one. There's another excursion boat. They cost $90,000 each.
Wow.
An old-fashioned cantilever bridge, operated by the shifting of weights by one man. We're waiting our turn to go through. Every tourist buys sabots, wooden shoes to you. We had lunch at the Cour Hotel in Elton, 270 feet above sea level, the highest point in Holland. Beyond that river in the distance is Germany. We are now at the German border. The officers were most helpful. Banks are at all the borders to change your money into the local specie. We lost no time at any border crossings the AAA escorts took all the passports into the officials and had them examined and stamped for us. En route to Dusseldorf, we passed through farmland and small country towns. Some of us took advantage of the comfortable reclining seats. In Dusseldorf, one of the things we saw was this old opera house on the square. The next morning, we visited the famed cathedral at Cologne. You know, this cathedral stood throughout the war without a hit, even though a block away, the railhead was completely demolished.
Imagine that.
From Koblenz, we took a steamer up the Rhine. The castle in the background is the Ehrenbreitstein fortress, built when the Franks occupied Germany in 1500. Now, this little town is Pfaffendorf on the east bank. Klosterbahnhofen, how do you like my German?
Pretty good.
Bahnhofen is at the kilometer mark 567. Every kilometer from Switzerland to Holland is painted on the rocks, so you always know where you are. The Rhine is an international river, and the traffic is heavy. I took these shots from the pilot house deck. St. Goar was very quaint. It's where the cats and mouse castles are.
What?
That's right, K-A-T-Z and M-A-U-S.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Here's the old college at Heidelberg. Beyond the trees, you can see the New American Medical College. The upper floor of the old college houses the student cell block, where each student had to serve at least 10 days out of his 4-year training period to better understand restricted privileges. The Cog Railroad runs up to the old Heidelberg Castle built in the 13th century. We headed southward through Germany to the Swiss border, entering at Schaffhausen. It was pouring.
I'll say it was.
But it didn't make any difference. The countryside and the little hamlets were very pretty. Notice the lack of traffic. See the little stucco houses? Aren't they quaint?
They certainly are.
I took this view after 6 p.m. from the balcony of our room at the Palace Hotel, overlooking Lake Luzerne. Everybody takes a boat ride on this lake. So did we. There's our hotel in the background. The manager of the Carlton Tivoli and one of the AAA officials chased us in a speedboat to invite us to a rooftop party. Naturally, we accepted. They flew the United States flag in our honor. Everybody had a good time. The Alps are every bit as breathtaking as you've heard. This is 7,000 feet above Luzerne, Mount Pilatus. The green areas are forests with trees 60 to 80 feet tall. The Swiss mountaineers signal to one another from mountaintop to village with these horns.
Are all the horns that long?
No, this was one for distance signaling. It has a very soft tone. We came down from Pilatus on a cog railroad. These cars are specially designed so everyone can see out of the big windows on all sides. Boy, was it steep. Here's a mountain-sided cow. From Luzerne, we took the Gotthard Railroad to Venice. We went through at least 17 tunnels in the Alps. One was 9 miles long.
Ken was so busy trying to get shots of all the beautiful scenery that he was going from one side of the train to the other.
I sure was busy. We had to stop at Bellinzona near the border for customs inspection. Some of us got out and stretched our legs. The conductor waved us on. Goodbye to the Alps. We were Venice bound. Some of us stayed in the new Excelsior Danieli. But we stayed at the old Royal Danieli. From the rooftop looking down the Grand Canal, we saw the Church of Santa Maria, the finest Baroque church in Venice, and hundreds of gondolas. These fellows were busy making a new mooring for their gondola. The clock tower in St. Mark's Square is in the very heart of Venice. Beyond all those pigeons is the Doge's palace. The entire party took to the gondolas, up the Grand Canal. Traffic was thick and fast. Gondoliering is a profession handed down from father to son. Only a descendant of a gondolier may join the union, and there's no women gondoliers. Here's a pair of hot rodders.
O sole mio,
Whatever happened to you?
Oh, please. I heard that every night until 4 a.m.
You did?
We sure did.
The Venetians live and do business on both sides of the canal. Well, that's a wedding barge.
How deep are the canals, Ken?
Oh, 5 to 50 feet or more. Seagoing vessels come in the main canals. Here's the French legation. The Rialto Bridge. It has open-air shops all across it. Next, we went to Florence, Italy. This was taken from Michelangelo Park. The Ponte Vecchio Bridge is to the left. The building with a dome on it is the Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore. The Santa Croce Church. Michelangelo's buried here. A monument to Dante. Only pedestrians are allowed on the Ponte Vecchio Bridge. You can buy all kinds of things here. Laces, precious stones, jewelry, tool leather articles, and so forth. We met a native wedding party in the park.
Oh, her dress was so pretty.
I was looking at her face.
Oh, you.
A father and son team make these walking dolls and ship them all over the world.
We brought one home with us, Louise.
We sure did. I dragged it all over with us.
Oh, I'd love to see it. I'll show it to you later.
Then we went to Rome. Mary, remember how we felt when we saw all this?
It kind of made chills run up and down your spine.
Oh, this is where Antony eulogized Caesar with his friend's Roman's countryman speech. That's Saturn's temple. Here's the old Colosseum where the emperors enjoyed the gladiators' games and many martyrs were torn to pieces by the wild beasts.
When was that built?
In 72 AD, and it seated 50,000 people. And believe it or not, at one time it had an awning over it. I never knew there was a pyramid in Italy, but here it is. Built in 12 BC as a tomb for Cestius. And the St. Angelo Castle was also built as a tomb for the Emperor Hadrian. Mussolini had this stadium built for international sporting events. By the night blue train, we went on to Nice on the French Riviera.
What? No bikini?
Just my luck. My camera flipped its shutter as we arrived at the beach. This plaque points to Ez, a medieval village on a crag near Monte Carlo. And there's Monte Carlo with the Rainier Palace in the background. Here's its entrance. Yep, 2, 3, 4. Finally, Paris. And guess where I took this shot from?
The Eiffel Tower.
Naturally. The famous bookstalls along the east bank of the Seine. Across the river, the Louvre, once the residence of kings, and now the most famous art museum in the world. And is it ever big? There's miles of it. Believe me, someday we're going back because there's so much more to see.
Oh, that is terrific.
A wonderful show, Ken.
Can't Tom and I make the same trip next year?
You know, I've always wanted to go to Spain. Do they have one of these tours that includes Spain?
Oh, of course, Tom. All the countries this side of the Iron Curtain are included in one or more of the tours. Mary, would you get me the travel bag with the brochures in it, please? Where till I show you? Every member of the party received one of these tour bags for personal articles. This meant we did not have to go into our luggage while traveling. Here, look at these brochures that they give us before we even start on the trip in order that we can plan where we wish to go. This saves a lot of time when you get over there. For instance, England, Paris,
That's nice.
Italy, Germany, and the Rhine River. Now, don't worry, Louise, about getting wet because the river flows this way.
Well, I'm sure glad it does.
We could have rented a car through the AAA if we wanted to stay longer than the regular tour, or if we had gone over independently. As it was, we bought our small car through them and had it shipped home after we left Europe. The AAA has thought of everything for the convenience of its touring friends and members. And the high type of men they employ as club escorts are outstanding. Their solution of every situation is marvelous. You can't help but have a wonderful time.
Oh, Tom, what do you say? Let's go next year.
If you folks are serious, I'll make an appointment for you with the local AAA foreign travel agent.
Well, but we're not members, Ken.
Well, that makes no difference, Tom. These tours are for non-members as well as members.
Well, what does all this cost?
Well, they told us that these tours are designed for every pocketbook and taste. And they begin at about $900.
Well, that's not bad at all.
That's wonderful, darling.
Oh, look.
Oh, the doll. Oh, isn't she adorable?